Hi there, this is Donna Bordeaux with Campground Accounting, and you are listening to Campground Compass, the show dedicated to campground owners in an entrepreneurial mindset who seek to grow and expand in the wild and wonderful world of business.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Campground Compass. Today I will not be joined by Donna because she is camping in our brand new camper. She is in Florida Keys. So I'll be doing this solo, so it might be a little awkward because I don't have anybody to fill in. Not that it's not always awkward, but I'll hopefully talk my way through it and figure it out. So there might be a few kinks. There are. Just ignore them. And we apologize for them. But anyway, we got a new RV since the last time we saw y'all. For the video listeners, or video watchers, we'll put it up on screen. We got a new Integra. And we're going to the Keys like we always do every year. So it's going to be fun. I go down a little bit later in December. They're there already. It's a nice 80s. I don't know. It might not be 80s. Usually it's 80s. It's nice. It's warm. It's the Keys. Who doesn't like the Keys? Anyways, today we are going to be discussing productivity. And how to increase productivity in your campground and how to build the ultimate productivity infrastructure for your campground. The productivity structure that I'm going to share with you is foolproof, hopefully, but it's going to be mostly software we're going to be talking about, but we are going to talk about some things up here in the brain and talk about how to be more productive and how to be better at software. So if you don't know me, I'm a social media manager. I'm also the co-host, Zack Bordeaux of Campground Compass. I do all the social media for Calculated Moves and for Campground Accounting. So if you want to check us out, you can check us out at Campground Accounting or at Campground Compass on any platform. And if you want to message me, you can find me anywhere. My profile is pretty readily available everywhere. So today, we're going to be talking about some of the strategies I use personally to get all the videos and podcasts and whatnot done. Today's an example of a time where we couldn't record with my mom, but we are going to be still going to go through this because this video needs to be recorded today. So I try my best to push the firm to the next level with video and social media. Sometimes there are limiting factors such as there's only so much video recording and video editing we can do. But I do try to push this to the next level as much as possible and keep everything going. So to do that, I have to be super productive. I can't waste an ounce of time. For example, I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies. I don't do any of that. I don't play any video games. All I do is get the work done and make sure that everything runs smoothly. So I'm very productive in my life. But I have a lot of ideas and a lot of stuff like that I need to make sure that I get down on paper. So we'll start out talking about ideas. I heard a quote from somebody, I don't know who it was, but ideas are made in the brain, but the brain is not meant to keep ideas. The brain is meant to think of ideas, not keep them. So let's think about this for a little while. You think of an idea, and a lot of times you forget the idea. Simple as that. So the first thing we're going to do is you want to figure out a way to write down this idea. Good old pen and paper, it works, kind of. But what happens when you lose the paper? Or when you forget to go and reference back to that paper? That's why I really enjoy using software, because there's a lot more I can do to remind myself about things, such as automation and that kind of stuff. We do a lot of automation in our firm, so it does help out to even keeping things organized, keeping every automation organized and figuring out what we have. We have a whole board of automations and that kind of stuff to keep us organized. But what I use to keep my ideas, get them out of my brain and onto paper or onto a computer, is Todoist. What I use whenever I think of an idea. Todoist is the first app that pops up when I open my phone, so I just hit it, write down the idea, and then after that, it goes into a variety of different places, whether it's something I need to take a note of, or something I need to schedule, or something I need to do, or something I need to be reminded about. There's a lot of different ways that you can use Todoist. And one of the big ways to use it for your campground is by making sure that you have some sort of list for your employees. So what we do at Campground Accounting is we have a list. This is just the base level, but we have a list of all of our employees and what their tasks are. And then we have a different subsection, and I'm actually going to share my screen for this for the video listeners. This one might be a little bit more video oriented because some of the stuff I'm going to show you, I am very bad at explaining things. But this is just a demo account on Todoist, but all of our employees are in a new project. So each employee has his own project. These are examples of different tasks that might be there for work campers, and you might want to have a master list of different tasks that all the work campers can get done, but also you can have sub lists. You can create a new one by hitting the plus next to projects, and work camper, we'll just say Joe, work camper Joe, why not? And we can put that underneath the work campers category in the projects. So now you have a different list for all of your work campers. So if there's something that only one work camper knows how to do, say it's training another work camper, you can put that on their list of things to do. And from there, they can either just make them go check that list and add things to that list, or you can do some sort of automation where it reminds them to do things or stuff like that. When you're using cloud-based software like this, and we're going to talk a lot about why you need to use cloud-based software today. But when you're using cloud-based software, there's a lot of different cool and awesome things that you can do with automation. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into that in another episode, but we're going to get a little bit deeper, just slightly deeper than that in this episode as well, and give you some ideas for automation. But I'm sure in the future we'll do a whole episode on automation, because that's really a lot of what we do and what we specialize in. But for campgrounds, there's a lot of things that you can do with Todoist, not just work campers, but you can separate out the different categories of things that need to be done. And you can also use Todoist for your personal life. I use Todoist for literally like everything. Anytime I have any sort of idea, automatically I put it into Todoist. It's just a habit that I have. So Todoist is great. It's going to be the first software that I'm going to recommend. If you don't like Todoist, the alternative is Google Tasks. Google Tasks is missing a lot since the last time I tried to use it. But what is really nice is that you can put it on a calendar. Now, a little workaround for that, if you want to put your Todoist on a calendar, like Google Calendar, is you can make a Zap on Zapier that says anytime something's added to Todoist, automatically put it on my calendar. That's what we have for like all of our videos. Anytime there's a new video that either needs to be made, there's a recording date, and then there's a published date. All of that goes onto my calendar, so I can view that out. My calendar, we'll talk more about that in a minute, but it all goes onto my calendar. There's a lot of cool automations you can do with Todoist. So, since we're on the subject, let's go ahead and move to calendar. Personally, I love Google Calendar. It is my top calendar choice out of any of them. I've tried a lot of them. And Google Calendar just integrates so nicely with everything. I really like how you can do so much with it, and that it's linked to Google Drive. I really like that I can color code it. One of the things that I've started doing recently, just kind of test things out, and I really like it, is putting down everything that I do on my Google Calendar. Even if it's already done, my Google Calendar is pretty much full like every hour of the day. The only thing that I don't write on there is sleep. So, because that's kind of a given that I'm sleeping in the middle of the night. But from when I wake up to when I go to bed, I write down everything. Then every Sunday, I look at my list and see, hey, what am I missing here? What time here could be taken out? So say this chunk I'm watching TV, I might take that out and say, next week I should be doing XYZ on this date. Next week I need to make a video on this day. Or next week, instead of having this meeting, we need to have a shorter meeting and, get some other stuff done. So it's a great way to see how productive you really are. And I'll actually just pull up my personal calendar real quick and kind of show you some things. If I can pull it up. What I really like is the time breakdown feature. And the reason I got to pull up my personal one is because I have a workspace account, which I highly recommend. Another little side tangent is domain emails. If you don't have a domain email, please get one. It's really important that your audience can see that you're professional. And people without domain emails, what are you doing? Gotta get a domain email. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my personal calendar here. Again, sorry for any sort of bad delays or anything like that on here. I'm trying my best to do this solo. So here's part of my personal calendar. This isn't all of it, but I'm trying to block some of the sensitive stuff from earlier. And obviously I haven't written out what I'm doing on today or Friday or Saturday. But if I can find my mouse, I don't know where my mouse is. My mouse disappeared. Hold up. Where'd my mouse go? I don't know. But anyway, I can see a time breakdown at the end of the week of how many hours I spent doing what and what kind of stuff I did. And by doing that, I can like hit on here. I can hit, well, you can't really see it, but I can hit the little pencil icon and change, instead of color coding it. I know a lot of people color code it by making a new calendar for everything. I don't like that idea. I hate it because you can't share the calendars. I share a calendar with all my team. My calendar just shows like when I'm busy and not busy. So people can kind of book things. If my team needs to book a meeting with me or needs to see if I'm in a meeting or needs to ask me a question, I got that shared with them. But if I go here to on the left, it'll say time insights. And this is only, I think, if you have a workspace account. But if you hit time insights or more insights on the left, you can see the time insights. And it's taking a long time to load. But you can kind of see a breakdown of what you spent the most time on. So if you go into the color on the pencil icon under like a specific task, you can set different colors in one calendar to be different types of tasks. So like I have my my podcast stuff is one color, my gym stuff is one color, my school schedule is another color, my meetings are one color, my just family time is a color, my outside tasks are a color. So I try to keep all of this super organized because that really helps me. Like if I ever need to look at like what did I do that day, this keeps me really organized so I can reference back to it, which I often do. I know a lot of people don't think that they would ever reference that kind of stuff back, but I end up referencing a lot of things based on not just when a meeting is, but also like what was I doing for these hours. And I like to be able to look at it at the end of the week, every week, and see where I was spending the majority of my hours. So the next thing we'll kind of talk about is Monday.com. I love Monday. I don't currently use it, but I think it's great, and it's a great way to kind of manage your team. So it's going to be really great for work campers. It integrates with Google Drive, so that's always a plus, and we'll talk more about Google Drive in a few minutes. But Monday, really great platform, and you can see the status on specific tasks. You can see it in any sort of widgets like a dashboard, and kind of like Airtable looking dashboards, and it's a great productivity tool. So you can see it in I'll read them off, boards, views, dashboards, integrations, automations, apps, and docs. So those are kind of things that are on the Monday.com page, but I really like all the kind of features of Monday. And I currently don't use it now just because I use so much other stuff, but I'm looking to probably start using it again very soon. So I just really love a lot of the features of it. And it's great for tracking what a team's doing and how well they're doing on a task and how things are coming. And it's great to be able to see that kind of stuff before, you're like, when's this task coming along? So I really like using Monday for that kind of stuff. It's great. So we've talked a lot about team and work campers and that kind of stuff. A lot of the times business owners will use just like cell phone numbers. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I think, if your employee or work camper or whatever leaves, do you really want them to have access to your phone number? I don't know. I personally don't. And I think it creates somewhat of an unprofessional environment. I know some people disagree with me, but for this client communication, or not client communication, but for employee communication, I use Slack. I love Slack. Slack. There's so many things I could say about Slack. I don't even know. I've been using it for a good while now, and I know it's just the best thing that I can be using. It has a lot of cool features, a lot of cool automations that I can set up. For example, I have an automation, and I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but all my to-doist tasks for my team go to my my company Slack page, my Slack board, and people can kind of see what they have left, see what they have to do there. If you use Monday, I think there's communication built in. I don't remember if there is or not. But I'm also, another little tidbit of information. I'm recording this. It's like 11:30 at night. I just got off a 10-hour shift, so not super fun. Kind of tired. So if you hear me mess up, that's part of the reason. So I will throw it up on the screen for all the video people. This episode is going to be pretty heavy in video. I'm sorry, all you listeners. I try my best to explain it, but don't always do the greatest jobs. Here is a demo company that's set up on Slack. You can kind of see how it works. You can send messages. So you got different columns over here based on the different channels. So say you're discussing the Q4 budget. You can go to Q4 budget and write how is Q4 budget coming along. And anything like that. If I can type. I know I spelled that wrong. I don't really care. My good keyboard is back here. Also, another completely side branch, completely unrelated. Why is the Apple keyboard, to get a keyboard, why is it like $200? I'm buying a new Mac, and I want to buy a keyboard, like a black keyboard, or a black mouse. Sorry, the black mouse is $99 versus the white one is $49. And then the keyboard's like $200. Who spends $200 on an Apple keyboard? I'll just take this one. Now, I will say, I do love my Magic Mouses. Magic Mouses are great. I use those. Completely unrelated. If you can't tell, I'm tired. Getting sidetracked. But Slack, you can create different channels for different topics, work campers. You can also lock these topics, so like work campers here. If I want to lock this topic, I can lock it and just make it an automation only. So I really like Slack. Great for client communication. You can create almost like group chats in here. And it's better than just trying to communicate over email or over phone or over text. Email, people sometimes don't check their emails. And sometimes they don't check them fast enough. Text, personally I check my text. Some people don't. But it also creates too much of a personal... I don't want to say it creates too much of a personal relationship, but because that's probably a good thing. But makes it not professional enough, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You could think otherwise. But I really like Slack for anything communication like that, behind the scenes type of stuff. Another awesome automation I have is we have like some certain YouTube channels that we want to look at like every time they post like our own. So you can set up easily a Zap from Zapier that says every time a new YouTube video is posted, it automatically goes to my kind of Slack channel. So I'm going to kind of show you how that's done for video people. So we'll create a new Slack page here, and let me share my screen again. I know this is going pretty bad, this is slow, but you can create a channel. I'm going to create a channel, and let's call it Campground Accounting Videos. And we can go here. You can add people to it. So if you want everybody to see whenever a video posts, it's great for that. You can also build like some communities in Slack, and that's really nice too. If you have like an owner's board, you can build that in Slack. Let's go to Zapier here. Get this set up. So if I go to Zapier, as you can see, automated sales outreach, that kind of stuff. Great for Zapier. Also social media. Love Zapier for that. And if you want a little bit of a lesser version of Zapier, I recommend IFTTT. It's a little bit more user friendly than Zapier. Zapier is sometimes kind of hard. And if you want like a super high tech automation, I recommend Make. Make is great. I don't know if we even use Make. I don't know. I'm not really in charge of most of the automation stuff. I just build the social media automations, but I typically use Zapier because it's pretty simple. We'll just hit continue on Zapier here. So we can search the app. We'll search YouTube. And we can say finish setup. So basically what Zapier does is it connects one app to another app. So there's a lot of great inspiration in here. Like creating a new Google Sheet row for a calendar event. That could be useful. Gmail attachments to Google Drive. I actually use that one. I love Zapier for that kind of stuff. So let's go for connect the app. Let's go with YouTube. This is just an example. There's a lot more things that are more campground related that you can use this for. And we'll do Slack as the width. And we'll do when this happens, new video. Then create a channel. So there's a lot of different things, as you can see, that you can do here. And this might be kind of a geek thing. But we love our geeks. It's great. And then you can have it post to a Slack channel. So, anyways, Slack, Zapier, both great tools. Zapier, we use Zapier a lot. And there's a dashboard in Zapier where you can kind of see a bunch of ideas to kind of get you thinking about what kind of time wasters you can save. I always check my Google Calendar to see, is there something that I am doing that's repetitive? And if so, I figure out a way to automate it. Sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier. A lot of the times it's harder. But I always try to find a way to automate it to make it work. So the next kind of thing I'll talk about is email. We all use email. Like I said, Slack is great because it's more personal than email, but not as personal as like message. But Slack, do like Slack a lot. But Gmail, obviously, you gotta have your emails. So another good automation would be every time somebody posts something in a Slack channel, automatically send it to my email. Anytime somebody posts something like that, automatically send it to Slack or to Gmail. Sorry. But typically we use Google for almost all of our Google kind of stuff. But we use Gmail. Gmail is fantastic. I love Gmail. And for productivity in my inbox, I use SaneBox. So SaneBox kind of has some different categories and a lot of different cool things you can do with it, but it just kind of uses AI to organize all your mail based on what it is. So like newsletters, it can detect if it's a newsletter and it automatically sends it to the Sane News folder. Sane Later is kind of like a check later type of folder. There's also some other cool SaneBox type of stuff that's very useful. But I love SaneBox for that reason. It helps me to stay organized on Gmail. Sane Black Hole is also really good. It's kind of like an archive, but it never comes to your inbox. But another tip, make sure you archive all your emails. Don't delete them. Make sure you archive them. Every one of them. That doesn't mean keep them in your inbox. Try to get your inbox to 0 noon mail. But there's a lot of cool things you can do with Gmail as well with automation. Like I said earlier, sending your Google, any sort of attachments automatically to your Google Drive from Gmail is very easy to set up in Zapier. Google Drive, that kind of stuff is very good with Gmail. Another thing I have is that I can add an email from Gmail into my Todoist to reference later. So that'll pop up in the top or in the right column or underneath an email if you're on mobile. Use that all the time. What else about Gmail? I think that's about it for Gmail. Gmail is pretty self-explanatory. It's just email. Love it, love it, love it. So another kind of thing that I just touched on is Google Drive. Make sure your files are all in the cloud. I know some people are, I don't know about the cloud. I don't know about the cloud. The cloud might not be what I want to use. I don't know about the cloud. Use the cloud. Use cloud. The cloud is so very important for any sort of files, anything that's on paper. Just as an example, and I know it's very unlikely, but say your house got flooded or your house burned down or something like that happened. What are you going to do? All your files are gone. So, you need to upload all your files to Google Drive. Do it. Upload them to Google Drive. Don't keep any paper. Scan it all in. Upload it to Google Drive. Keep it going. Automated. Keep it going in Google Drive. Keep everything in the cloud. Also, tax documents. Don't send us paper. We don't do paper. We do everything online. It's an online world. It's a new world than it used to be. So all that stuff is on paper. And all that stuff is not on paper. It's on the cloud. Excuse me. And so we want to keep it that way. We want to get everything kind of fit in for Google Drive. So next thing we'll discuss is we'll go over a little bit of outsourcing and that kind of stuff. Anything that's a repetitive task, if you can't automate it, outsource it. So that's kind of our general rule. All of our video stuff, we have a person who does the thumbnails, that kind of stuff, that does all the information, builds the show notes. We have a copywriter. That's very important. We talk a lot about building a website. Outsource that. Don't try to do that yourself. Doing things yourself is just setting you up for failure. So just because you can do it yourself does not mean you should do it yourself. You need to be working on your business, not in your business. That's business 101. Basic business. The very basics is work on your business, not necessarily in your business as much. If there's something that you can outsource it, outsource it. What's it gonna hurt? Copywriting is one of those things that you should rarely ever be doing yourself. Nowadays you can outsource it to AI, so using like Jasper or that kind of stuff is very cool. If you don't know about Jasper, check it out. Jasper.ai. Great software. Use the AI to kind of write, but I highly recommend getting a professional copywriter, and also I highly recommend hiring a social media manager or social media somebody to handle that kind of stuff. Somebody to handle inquiries. That's important. hire professional photographers, hire accountants, hire lawyers, that kind of stuff. Don't try to do any of that yourself because you're just going to be setting yourself up for failure, and we want to see you win. So, outsource. There's a lot of ways to go about outsourcing. I recommend finding people on Fiverr or Upwork for most of your freelancing stuff. That stuff's kind of easy. Try to find people who are not necessarily in the U.S. as well. That's another good tip. Who will work cheaper than U.S. people will work. A lot of people in the U.S. are entitled and spoiled, and trying to get the minimum wage at $15 an hour. So it's a lot more than you used to make. It is what it is. But you got to adapt. You got to learn to be able to adapt to it. Now, that doesn't mean go pay somebody who doesn't know how to do it. That means to find somebody who does know how to do it, who doesn't live in the U.S. That's potentially a good idea. But don't try to go cheap on these things necessarily. You don't want the cheapest person. You want the best person. And the ROI on social media and accounting and that kind of stuff is immense. So the next thing I'll go into is all my note taking. Apple Notes is what I use for typically all of it, for all my notes on YouTube videos and that kind of stuff. I got some notes for this show on Apple Notes as well. In Apple Notes, I have kind of 3 sections. I have a personal, a work, and a school section, and I have an archive folder as well. Those are my 4 main folders, and then from there, my school breaks down into my different classes. My work breaks down into the different companies that I manage social media for, and the different types of projects that I'm working on, that kind of stuff, and then my personal social media as well. And then I have a personal folder where I have recipes or just things I think of, or lists. I have a list of things I hate in there. I don't know why. That's from a while ago. So yeah, I'm just rereading that. That's pretty cool. Forgot that I had that. And kind of notes that I have. And after I use something, if I may or may not use it in the future, I always just put it in archive. And if it doesn't really have a folder, I just archive it. I can always search for stuff. So like most things, you can search pretty much anything nowadays. And it works pretty well. Apple Notes is great because, as you can see, I'm a Mac guy. I use Mac. I use iPhone. I use pretty much everything Apple. I love Apple. And if you're not an Apple person, yeah, I don't know what you do if you're not an Apple person. But if you're not an Apple person, you can try alternatives to Apple Notes. Evernote's really good, just like Apple Notes better because it's just more natural. Same reason I used to use reminders for my to-doist type stuff. Reminders just didn't have as much automation stuff that I needed and as many lists. Another thing I do in to-doist is I send a daily recap that takes it from there. Zapier puts it into an email, and then it sends a daily recap to some of my bigger clients, so that they can see what I've been working on that day for them, or what kind of questions I have. And that's fairly easy to set up as well. So I highly recommend using Todoist for that reason. But you can also use reminders. And Google Calendar is another one of those. A lot of people use Apple Calendar. I don't mind Apple Calendar. Apple Calendar's, it's all right. There's a lot more automation with Google Calendar, and I can access Google Calendar from everywhere. But I can also have access Apple Calendar from everywhere. So there's pros and cons to all of them. Yeah. So another kind of alternative to Google Calendar that I have tried just slightly, and I'd like to try more in the future, is Fantastical. Like Todoist, it has natural speech recognition type stuff. So if I say tomorrow at 3:30, or on December 1st or something like that, or on the 1st of every month, it'll automatically grab that date. If I put a hashtag, I can sort things like that. Or if I put for Donna or for one of my employees, it'll automatically assign it to them, that kind of stuff. Fantastical has that. And I don't mind Fantastical from what I've seen so far. I know a lot of people use it. And a Gmail alternative that I would recommend is Superhuman. I've seen that's really nice. It is paid, so I don't know how well it works. I haven't used it personally, but I've heard that a lot of good things about it. I just prefer Gmail because that's just kind of what we have all of our domains on. Not like Gmail, so good with that. I just don't like Outlook. I got beef with Microsoft. There's a lot of things that I like about new software coming up, and Microsoft just doesn't innovate a lot. A lot of their software outdated. I can already see them sitting in the boardroom. Well, we could update. What should we update about Outlook? What should we update about Outlook? What should we update? Well, maybe we should add some basic features that like every other email app has. Nah. We gotta update the ribbon so that nobody can find anything. I can already see it. That's what they do on Excel. That's what they do on Word. They just update the ribbon. So I got beef with Microsoft for that reason. That's why I use Google Docs and Google Drive and Google Sheets and Google Slides and all that kind of jazz. I like that kind of stuff better just for that reason. Notion, it's kind of the whole thing. Notion's really good at doing everything, but it's not too good at doing like a specific thing. And what I mean by that, it's really good at kind of, if you want to throw everything in one place, is really good. I personally like to like diversify a little bit more. I just find that it's easier to organize things by diversifying, but I know some people like to just throw everything at Notion. Notion is great. The alternative to Notion is Obsidian. I've heard a lot of good things about that too, and it's a little bit more high tech. So I know a lot of people who really like Obsidian as well. But that's about it that I have for y'all today. I know it's a bit of a shorter podcast. It's just me, your host, Zack. And hopefully my mom will be on the next episode. We hope to do one while we're in the Keys. So we'll see if that happens or not. It might not. We'll see. And we'll see y'all next time. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of it, everywhere, at Campground Compass. And make sure to visit our website, campgroundcompasspodcast.com. You can also check any of the stuff out, any of the episodes on any of your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, anything like that. Spotify, Apple, Overcast. I don't know what else. Amazon Music. We're on all of them. So if you can't find us on one platform, let us know. We'll get us on that platform immediately. And also check out the video on YouTube, Campground Compass. We also have a TikTok where we post shorts, and we have YouTube shorts at Campground Compass Shorts, and we have clips of all of our episodes at Campground Compass Clips. We're just starting out to do the clips, so some of the older episodes don't have clips, but the newer ones do. So go check us out. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and I'm about to go to bed because I'm exhausted. It's pretty late. So see y'all later.
Thank you for listening to Campground Compass. I'm so glad you joined us. Check out the show notes and more of our seasoned advice at campgroundcompasspodcast.com. While you're there, be sure to explore the archives for previous episodes. And if you never want to miss a single audio adventure in 4-season business growth, subscribe to this podcast here and on YouTube. If you like what you're hearing, please consider leaving us a positive review on iTunes. It would be very much appreciated. Friends on social media, check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Campground Compass. Until next time, stay savvy.